Think of what you want your life to look like this time next year. Like if everything went well with your pregnancy and birth specifically, new baby and all, what would that look like? And visualize that. And I mean, if you need to, like eyes closed, take the time, really visualize it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Who's surrounding you? And particularly when you move into that birth space, like when I ask you guys to visualize your birth, get very specific. Getting pregnant and giving birth are two of the most exciting things you can ever hope to experience in this life. The moment you think you could be pregnant, you're frantically searching for all the best information, which is why you're here today. I'm Stephanie King, and with my many years of experience as a professional childbirth educator, doula, and lover of all things pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, I'm here to make preparing for your birth enjoyable, empowering, and totally easy. Each week, I'll cover different topics, interview professionals, and get into the nitty-gritty birth stories from mamas just like you. And when you're ready for more, you can join me in the My Essential Birth course at myessentialbirth.com, where I take you step by step through exactly how to prepare your mind, body, spirit, and partner for a birth you love. So let's get started. All right, welcome to the first podcast episode of the year, Pregnancy and Birth Made Easy with My Essential Birth. I'm really excited you guys are here. This topic today, I think this episode is just going to be killer for you guys to start your year and really feel supported and ready for what's ahead of you. You'll notice that all of December was birth stories. I felt really inspired to just end the year strong on all of those positive birth stories. And for all my moms that are coming up to giving birth, I think it's the best thing in the world to listen to other positive birth stories. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. The other thing that's kind of cool is at the end of December, that last episode I do, if you guys have been paying attention at all, every year I like to rebroadcast the most popular episode that we've had for the year, just so it's like fun reflection. And I had already set up that I wanted to do the birth stories before I went back and realized the most popular episode of the year was a birth story, which was kind of cool. That was the first year that happened. And it was just neat to look back and say, oh, this is what you guys need. This is what you want right now. So that's really awesome. I think as we step into the new year, I think a lot of moms, especially pregnant moms, feel like we should be doing more to prepare, right? More research, more planning, more lists. And I think that's common, not just in pregnancy, but in life. And I am going to ask you just a quick question. What if one of the most powerful ways to prepare for birth was actually just to choose one word? Think about that for a second. This is not about control. It's about being focused. It's about calm. It's about trust, because one word can guide an entire birth experience. Now, today in this episode, I'm going to share a little bit about what my husband and I do in our home, kind of on an annual basis, minus last year, which is kind of funny because this year was just a whirlwind and we were like, oh, we'll do it next month. Oh, we'll do it. And then the year was just gone, right? But I'm going to share some of those things that we do because it is the exact same thing that you can do with your birth, with your pregnancy and birth, and also for your life. So if this is something that you can carry over into your life stuff as well, I think that's a wonderful thing to do. We've been doing it for a couple years now, quite a few, and it makes a huge difference. So I'll just tell you, every year we kind of have an annual review. We go over what worked well. We write all of that down. What were like the best things that happened from this year? What didn't work well? What were the things that were like rough or hard, or like what were those things that we went through that were difficult? And then we talk about goals. What are our goals for this next year? What do we want to really happen? What do we want our lives to look like? Like if we could wave a magic wand, what would this next year really look like for us, right? And then we kind of set a phrase or a word or an intention as we do our planning. Like this is the main focus for this year. For example, we've done things like family, service, love, work, whatever we're feeling really inspired. And we use prayer. We pray before we do this. We pray when we're thinking about what we want to do. So however you can feel close to each other and inspired to be able to come up with that, that's what you do. And so, for example, if the word for the year was family, then when we're planning the rest of the year, say that we sit down and we're like, okay, we have some goals in regards to family. Let's make sure that we're doing things together as a family. So we want to plan 4 big family trips, and not that we do this, but say that, at like once a quarter, we want to go do something away from the home as a family. Let's go, put it on the calendar, whatever that might be. Anything that we do when we're looking at our planning for the month, like maybe once a month, we're like family home evening and let's do something. Maybe we spend a little bit of money or a little bit of time, but it's outside of the home. It's not just like a family game night or something like that. Let's be intentional about this. But we always go back to that word. So like, how is this going to strengthen our family? How is this going to make our family closer? How is this going to help us to be the family that we desire to be? And so everything comes back to that word. It's not just putting stuff on the calendar or just the daily, how you get stuck in like the daily whatever is happening in life. How are we basing it all intently on our focus for the year? Now, the same thing can be applied to birth and to your life. So for this episode, I'm going to walk you through some of those basic things. I'm going to talk to you about kind of how to pick out that word or how to help you get to that space where you know what you're going for. Okay, so for you and your birth partner, and maybe we're just talking about the annual, like let's take a look at our annual life things, right? You're going to have a planning and reflection sheet. So you want to make sure that you dedicate a little bit of time where you're like, okay, we have time to actually do this, at least an hour, maybe longer. My dream is let's go out to a nice dinner and stay the night somewhere, right? So we have this like wonderful session and then we get to spend a little bit of time alone with no kids and just kind of enjoy each other. That would be the dream, right? But maybe you can at least put an hour aside. Maybe you get a sitter, maybe you go out to dinner, whatever the case. And this really is your focus. And you want to go through those reflections for the previous year, highlights, achievements, lessons learned, kind of like what I talked about, like good, bad, ugly, and then what kind of what those goals are. Now, if you're pregnant and you're going into, say that you're pregnant going into the new year, right? You're bringing some of your pregnancy from last year and it headed into the new year, or you're newly pregnant into this year. So those highlights are like making it through first trimester exhaustion, feeling the baby kicks. So this is focus on pregnancy and birth now, right? Seeing your baby on ultrasound. Those are all like beautiful, wonderful, yay. These are all the like fun things about pregnancy and birth. The second category would be achievements. So maybe you're doing your 3 exercises more consistently, and I'll put those in the show notes if you don't know what those are. Maybe you've seen your baby on your ultrasound. Like there's, different achievements that you have. Maybe you were worried about something early on and that's gone away, like achievement. That's awesome. Okay, lessons learned. Maybe that's something like, don't tell people that I want to go unmedicated or have a home birth, right? Like I won't be doing that anymore. People have way too many opinions. I'm not going to ask about other people's birth stories unless I know it's super positive and what I'm looking for myself because it's messing me up too much. Maybe you're looking to learn to stand up for yourself because you're tired of getting other people's unwanted advice. Okay, so we're going to kind of categorize those things. And then we move into kind of the New Year's resolutions. And the first thing I want you to do, and this is very powerful, but it's that positive visualization. So if you followed me at all here or you're in the birth course, you know that at some point I'm going to ask you to visualize your birth. And that's exactly what I want you to do. But I'm asking you to do it with your pregnancy and birth. So your pregnancy, think of the pregnancy and birth that you want to have. Think of what you want your life to look like this time next year. Like if everything went well with your pregnancy and birth specifically, new baby and all, what would that look like? And visualize that. And I mean, if you need to, like, eyes closed, take the time, really visualize it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Who's surrounding you? And particularly when you move into that birth space, like when I ask you guys to visualize your birth, get very specific. When you are giving birth, right? And this is moving into a different realm here. So this is a side step from what I'm having you do. But when you are giving birth, what does that look, feel, sound, taste like, right? Literally. Where are you when the contraction starts? What are you doing? What are you wearing? What are the lights like? How do you move through labor? Are you doing things on your own? Do you see yourself getting an epidural? Do you see yourself wanting to spend time at home, kind of moving back and forth and maybe leaning over a counter or the bed, or maybe you're lying down. Maybe you're using the birth ball, you're listening to meditations, you're on hands and knees, you're in the shower. Like literally walk yourself through that. Are you eating? What are you eating? What do you like to snack on? Is your husband saying nice things to you as you rubbing your back? I want you to completely walk through that all the way to your birthplace. Are you at home? And what's interesting is a lot of the times what we visualize, what's comfortable to us, what's like relaxing and exciting is not necessarily what we're setting ourselves up for. And it's not even on purpose. And it's not a bad thing either. There's nothing wrong with that here. But for example, if we're thinking of working through labor and we see ourselves relaxing in our bed with dim lights and our husband's arm wrapped around us, and we're just really enjoying that and taking it in and working with our body, and we're in a sports bra and comfortable pants, we can see all of this. But the plan with the provider is come in when you feel that first contraction. Let's get you hooked up to an IV. There's going to be some bright lights and a nurse, and they're going to offer, all these different things. Then those two things aren't aligned. What your body is telling you, what your mind is telling you is safe and comfortable and warm and happy for your birth is not what you're setting yourself up for, and you might not even realize it. So that is why the visualization is so important. It's the same with the pregnancy. What makes you like happy and comfortable and all of that, right? Working through pregnancy, just totally fine. Going on walks and taking care of yourself with the nutrition and all this. Are you walking yourself through what it looks like to be in your provider's office? Do you want vaginal exams? Do you want blood tests? There are things that are going to be happening. Are you going to be comfortable with them and kind of walk yourself through that? When you walk into your provider's office, do you walk out feeling joyful and excited about the birth? Or do you walk out wishing, I wish I wouldn't have said that, or I wish he wouldn't have said that, or she wouldn't, how do you feel? And see if those things match. Okay. So that's what I want you to do. And then I want you to, same thing, if there were no barriers, no obstacles, kind of how I talked about waving that magic wand. My husband and I do this, right? If we could just have it all, what would that look like for us? And then we kind of make a plan. Because here's the truth. And I talked to you guys about the birth map, right? Because when we're talking about birth planning, there's many ways to get to that destination. And so we talk about the map and how it ebbs and flows. And there's going to be some ins and outs to what we're doing. But if you don't have a plan, it makes it really hard. Have you ever heard the phrase, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail? That is it. You cannot just say, I'm going to hope for the best and let it ride. That's just not how it works. And there is so much power in planning and writing it down, even if it does not go perfectly to plan. There is so much power in setting the intention and physically writing it down, getting it in black and white, saying it out loud. It has more power than just floating around in the mind. You make it real when you can do those things. Trust me, it is very, very true. Okay. And then you're going to set down your goals and you write as many as you want. I'll tell you what I do every single morning. And so you can do this for pregnancy as well. I write down 5 things that I'm grateful for that happened within the last 24 hours. That way it's really specific. It's not just like I'm grateful for my kids and I'm grateful for my home and I'm great, and sometimes I do include those things too, obviously. But it's like, I'm grateful that I sat down with my oldest son and he showed me how he learned this new piano song yesterday. Like, I'm grateful for spending that time with him. I'm grateful for the beautiful sunrise that I watched this morning, whatever it was, and get specific. I'm grateful that the kids did dishes when I was working, okay, without having to be asked. It's the little things. 5 things of gratitude every morning. And then I write very consistently 10 dreams. And the 10 dreams come from this annual planning session that I do. And I do kind of one with myself too. These are not just our, annual dreams. These are my dreams that I am dreaming up. And they include things like I do what I'm supposed to do based off of the daily revelation that I receive. So some of these are very personal to me, right? Obviously, and they're not about birth in this case. My marriage is thriving. I write them down every day. What's really neat, you guys, is this is the power in writing stuff down. So I had been writing, my husband and I just bought a home this last year. And at the time that we bought it, it was at the end of the year. The time that we bought it, things were a whirlwind. I wasn't sure, like, should we be doing this? Should we not be doing this? Do we really have the money for this? Are we even going to get approved? Because of the way that, he works and he, 1099 this and I have my own business and just, it was a mess, right? And the commotion around it. And also, like, we've been renting this house and it's too small for us and we adopted these girls. And it was just a whirlwind. And we ended up in the home that we ended up in. And when we did, we had listed down, because we had been doing this for a couple of years, where we're like, what are the things that we really need? What are the things that we really want, right? So I had this list, and it's just this notes on my phone. And the top part was non-negotiables. right? Like these are the things like we absolutely feel like we need. This kind of square footage, this many bedrooms, like this is what we feel like we absolutely need. And then there was a list of like, if I could have anything, right? And not anything, but like if I could push it, like this is what I would really desire, certainly within our budget and all that kind of stuff. And we end up finding this home and really neat spiritual experience. But we end up finding this home and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's the home. And I get to my list and I'm like, oh my goodness, it hit every single non-negotiable that I had, because once you start looking for a home, all of those non-negotiables kind of become negotiable, right? You're like, okay, maybe we don't need that extra bedroom. Maybe I can still work out of my bedroom. Maybe, you just start kind of working through and you're like, okay, I can bend and shake a little on this. It hit every single non-negotiable. And then it hit every single thing that we wanted. And I was floored. First of all, God is so good. And that is just real. Secondly, when we put that stuff out into the universe or into God's hands, He is able to do what we desire or whatever He desires to do with it. And it doesn't always work perfectly that way, right? I have many things on my list that I still don't have, that I still have to make the effort to be able to get there. But it is a beautiful thing, the power that exists when we do the small and simple things to make ourselves better, to work towards goals, to not be standing still. Okay, we don't want to be standing still. We don't want to be lukewarm. We want to be working towards things that matter. We want to be working towards making the best of ourselves, the best of who we can be, and who we desire to be. And I think there's a lot of external help when we do those things. Okay. So those are kind of my 5 gratitude, 10 dreams. Now, one of the dreams that I've been writing for 4.5 years on there was I live in a big, beautiful home, or I think it said a beautiful, spacious home by the ocean and by the temple. Okay. Because we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The temple and going to the temple and temple work is very important to us. So it's important to me. And so we were like, when we were looking at home areas, we're like, we're going to draw a radius and about 30 miles or 30 minutes out. Like, I don't want to be more than 30 minutes. In my wildest dreams, like in my 10-year dreams, I would just love to live by the ocean, right? But we're here in Florida and there's a lot of flood zones. And so when we were looking at homes, we're like, yeah, that's just, it's not even, and I wasn't even looking for that because I'm like, this is a dream. But where we end up living, we are less than 10 minutes from the ocean. And you guys, I don't live in some like crazy expensive, it is amazing how the Lord can work within our own means to help us have the desires of our hearts. So my point is, this stuff is real. It is very real. And I have a testimony of that, just like I have a testimony of birth and the power of birth. And I want you to know that. So when you are writing your goals, it can be in any categories. And you can pick your own, you can make your own, especially when it comes to birth and whatever that looks like for you. Some basic categories, and we do use our church's categories that we also use with our youth, right? Spiritual, physical, intellectual, social, and I added self-care. So say that you do 2 goals within those, but it's whatever your goals really are. You'll notice that when you have goals, they end up fitting in one of those categories anyways, typically speaking. So keep that in mind. Like even self-care could kind of be my social or, physical or however I look at it. So whatever those goals are for yourself, kind of write some of those down. But in other words, who are you trying to become? How are you working towards who you're meant to be? And then think of birth specific. So that's kind of like life goals. You can add some of that into your pregnancy and birth. But if we're getting into those birth specific goals or those pregnancy goals, right? Maybe some of it is I'm going to eat 120 grams of protein each day. That would be my ultimate goal. This doesn't mean you're going to be perfect at it. And it doesn't mean that when you do it wrong, like you don't do it for an entire week or you had it going for 3 weeks, you had your 3-week streak and all of a sudden you drop off for 2 weeks or whatever. It doesn't mean it's dead. This is what we're aiming for. And now that I know that it's there, it's going to put it more on my mind to do more of it. And doing more of it is better. It is good every time you do it. Okay, maybe it's drink 2 glasses of water first thing in the morning, walk 30 minutes each day, interview different providers. Maybe if you're a nervous person, you're like, I don't feel comfortable with this. You're like, I'm going to stretch myself. I'm going to go interview 2 providers in the next month and just see how I feel. Okay, do the 3 exercises, practice relaxation 3 times a week. Speak up for yourself. Maybe it's things like trusting your intuition or saying what I'm feeling and saying no to things I'm not comfortable with or communicating openly with my birth partner and my provider. Okay. And then here is something that has really changed a lot for me. I heard it as a business statement, but I use it all the time. And it is a good reminder to me. I'm not perfect at it. I still choose some things over other things that I shouldn't. And that's just a reality. I think we're constantly in life trying to decide because we have so many things coming at us, what's most important. And so I want you guys to take this because it has been so helpful for me. And I want you to understand the power of saying yes and the power of saying no. The phrase is every yes that you say to something is a no to something or someone else. And that was pretty powerful for me. Every time that I was saying yes to something with my business, for example, that was a no to spending time with my family, seeing my boys play whatever sport, whatever it was, going out to dinner with my husband, whatever it was, cleaning my house. There is always a trade-off. So every yes that you say is a no to something else, okay? Yes to a test or a vaginal exam or an induction date that you otherwise would have chosen no to. That's a yes to allowing somebody else to make decisions for you. So that's saying no to your intuition or your gut. That's a no to trusting what you're feeling. Okay, that's a no for you feeling comfortable and confident in charge of your birth. So keep that in mind as we are dealing with people within our birth space and over our pregnancy and birth. Every yes you say to listening to somebody's crazy birth story is a no to what you told yourself, which was, I'm not going to listen to any more negative birth stories. Okay. So just keep that in mind. And then once you reflect on those pregnancy and birth goals that you are setting, whatever those might be, then you want to kind of look at it and say, what is the overarching theme? What stands out more than anything else? And it doesn't even have to be the thing that shows up the most. It could be the thing that hits you the hardest. It's like, I want to stand up for myself, or I want to feel confident, or I don't want to be a victim to the system, or I want to trust my body, or I'm tired of people telling me how I should feel and what I should do. Like, I want to be able to do that thing, right? So you're going to pull out the theme that hits the most, hits the hardest. And let's say perhaps it's just feeling out of control with everything happening in pregnancy, because that's like everybody feels that way, right? At one point or another, unless you don't. And that's really wonderful. Or maybe just life, things are going on. And then you kind of take that thought a little bit deeper. Okay, so let's say that we take it 5 deep. So the thought is, I don't want to feel out of control with everything. Well, why don't you want to feel out of control? Because it makes me feel like I can't listen to myself and my intuition. Okay. Why does it make you feel that way? So what? Because I'm not strong enough to say what I'm feeling. Okay. Why are you not strong enough to say what you're feeling? Because I don't feel like I know the whys behind it to make a valid argument. Have any of you been there? Because I have, for sure. Okay. Why don't you feel like you just take it a little bit deeper. Talk about that. Because I don't want to second guess my own feelings about my body and my baby. Okay, so what happens if you do that and take it that 5 deep, right? And then that's kind of where you get to because I could harm myself or my baby and it would be my fault and I'd never forgive myself. Okay, so you have to take this all the way down. And then we kind of grab that word out of it. So what word would I need? Whatever comes to my mind, whatever I feel strongly about, right? Maybe it's confidence. And so my birth word is going to be confidence. And then when I am planning all of these things down the line, my next appointment, whatever test I'm going to have, whoever I'm going to talk to about my birth, whoever's going to be in my birth space, how is confidence going to play a role? And what can I do to make that the word that stands out, right? Maybe confidence means I'm going to listen to more podcasts. I'm going to get really educated about this. I'm going to reach out and ask people for help. I am going to really understand all the evidence behind the decisions that I'm making so that I feel confident saying yes to something or confident saying no to something, okay? Whatever that is, you can pull that word and you can kind of take it with you. And maybe your birth word is calm or steady or capable, right? And you don't even necessarily have to do it this way. So I am giving you as deep as you want to go. You can go surface level too. If you started this podcast episode and I said something about a word being able to change your birth experience and a word popped into your head and that's your word, then that's your word. Okay. It's not going to do you any harm by using that word. Okay. Anything positive that you are working towards in your life that you can grab onto, that you can focus on, that you can continue to just aim for is going to bring positive, good energy into your life. And it will bring it into your pregnancy and it will bring it into your birth. The goal is for us to move forward and not be standing still. So whatever that word is for you, then we take it and we move forward with it. And the nice thing is that our bodies naturally want to have something to anchor onto when we are feeling unsafe, scared, not confident, anything unsure, anything like that. And so if we have a word already, like if we're in a situation, it's like confidence, right? If we're going through labor and people are asking questions or you're hearing things back and forth between the provider and your birth partner, or you're just hearing the chatter with the nurses and stuff, and they're saying things like, oh, I don't know, this baby's heart rate and all that. You know what? Confidence. It's my anchor. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to trust my body. I am confident. Okay. And our minds are really powerful that way. Our body responds to that kind of word. And so this word is something that you will print out, that you will draw a picture of, that you will put on your mirror, that you will put on your wall, and you will just take it in. It is something that you'll get your birth partner or spouse on board with you. And you'll say, hey, this is my word. Help me refer back to this when I am feeling unsure or shaken or scared or nervous. Help me anchor with this word. And you guys work together to make that happen. Okay. This is all about mindset. And birth is a mindset game. It doesn't matter if it's your first, doesn't matter if it's your fifth. This is all about mindset. Okay. It is just as much physical as it is mindset. And in some ways, I feel like mind is so much more because it affects the physical. Just kind of as an example of like how words can show up. So I talked to you a little bit about confidence. Let's say it's calm. Okay. Calm doesn't mean painless. Calm means I am grounded in my intensity. Calm breathing and calm reminders, right? All of that is enveloped in calm. I think if your word were painless, that might be a little bit trickier, right? We want to use something that is going to ground us in a way that will be useful to us the whole way through it. And it needs to be real, okay? So steady would mean like one contraction at a time. Okay. Steady. Like I'm steady. No rushing, no jumping ahead, trusting the rhythm of labor. Steady, right? Capable. Let's say your word's capable. Your body knows what it's doing, right? You are capable. You don't need to micromanage it. You're capable, and confidence grows through experience. So you're just going to keep moving. Maybe your word's supported, and that's your support from your birth partner, your doula, your provider, whoever that is, or asking for help without guilt. That is support. Remembering that you're not alone. You are supported. Okay. So I just want you to kind of work through that. Think through it. Think of some of those words that can give you exactly what you are needing. And then, like I said, you write it down, you put it everywhere, and you trust the process. Every day you start thinking of, how is this going to resonate with me in my life? Or even just noticing it. Just noticing it throughout the day, repeating it in your mind. When you're doing your meditations and your relaxation, I am confident. I am capable, whatever your word is, right? And you kind of breathe that life into yourself. I think it's also a good reminder that we don't have to have it all figured out. And by small and simple things are great things brought to pass. Okay. That is so true. It is the small and simple things in our lives that when we are able to utilize them in those small ways, it makes for great reward every time. So it doesn't have to be a perfect word and you don't have to do it perfectly. But if you utilize this, I promise you, when you are going throughout your year, you will feel that you are more grounded and more ready, and your mind will be in the perfect spot for birth. So as you listen to this episode, it's definitely one that you might want to pause and go back and write notes and kind of put on repeat maybe once or twice, because it's going to be those things that kind of catapult you into having the experience that you want this year. But I hope as you guys go throughout this new year that you are feeling so much stronger and excited for birth. Birth is the best time. And pregnancy, I mean, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. And you don't know it until you experience it. But being that close to that baby and being that close to your husband or your birth partner, the whole experience, it's just all encompassing and there's nothing like it. And so I hope that you guys, this gives you an opportunity to kind of reflect on last year and pull into the new year, both for your birth and for your life. And as always, if you guys have questions or you want to connect with me or you have comments on this, you can shoot me an email at hello@myessentialbirth.com or hit me up on Instagram at myessentialbirth. I'm going to make sure and put everything I talked about today in the show notes. So you'll see the 3 exercises. I'll put a link for the birth course if you're interested in that. And I hope to chat with you guys soon. If you loved what you heard today, the very best way to support this podcast and help other moms to find it is to leave a quick review. I read one at the beginning of the episodes, and I would love for yours to be next. And if you're ready for even more pregnancy, birth, and postpartum goodness, come join me in the My Essential Birth course at myessentialbirth.com, where I will hold your hand and walk you through pregnancy and birth step by step so you're totally prepared for a birth you'll love. See you next week.